Mulroney, the one-time best friend of Meghan Markle, whose children were given prominent roles in the royal wedding, who Jessica herself and her husband sat in the front row as St. George's Chapel right across from the royals went absolutely kaputs overnight after a stupid social media bust-up back.
Front row at the royal wedding, FaceTime during Harry's proposal, styling the engagement photos. For years, Jessica Mulroney wasn't just Meghan Markle's best friend. She was her shadow. But now the shadow has stepped into the spotlight. Her memoir promises not nostalgia, but destruction. Every text, every call, every secret weaponized. The woman who built Meghan's empire now holds the detonator, and the countdown has already started.
Broke down between Meghan and Jessica when a Canadian influencer accused Mulroney of racism back in 2020. Mulroney evoked Meghan Markle in her apology/defense and
I was looking for any reason to get rid of her friend. And you can't help but wonder why. How did this relationship sour so quickly in the span of just a little over?
This isn't a story about friendship ending badly. This is about weaponized intimacy. For years, Meghan Markle constructed an empire on carefully curated authenticity. The modern duchess, the vulnerable truth teller, the woman who survived the palace machine. But every empire needs architects. Jessica Mulroney was that architect. She had the Canadian media connections. She had the fashion industry credibility.
Comes to Jessica Mulroney, it is an interesting relationship, you could say, because the two women met in Canada, and at the time of their meeting, Jessica...
She had proximity to power through her father-in-law, a former Canadian prime minister. Most dangerously, she had access to Meghan's unfiltered thoughts during the years that mattered most. The private venting sessions about royals, the late-night strategy calls, the real calculations behind public gestures. Jessica knows what the world was never meant to see. And she's allegedly documented everything: voice notes, screenshots, text exchanges, call transcripts. The memoir leak suggests this won't be diplomatic. It will be surgical.
among the select group aware of Harry and Meghan's secret relationship and Harry's discreet trips to Toronto. She also played a key role in...
The breaking point came during the 2020 Black Lives Matter protests. Lifestyle blogger Sasha Exeter accused Jessica of racist behavior after a social media exchange. Jessica allegedly threatened Exeter's brand partnerships in direct messages. The backlash was instant and brutal. Jessica's career imploded overnight. She issued multiple public apologies. She reached out desperately to Meghan: texts, calls, handwritten letters.
For the record, I absolutely don't believe that Jessica is racist. The exchange was tense and unnecessary, and Jessica learned her lesson. I think that she learned a pretty tough lesson.
She needed her best friend to stand beside her, to help explain, to show solidarity. Meghan went silent, complete radio silence. No reassurance, no guidance, no backup. Sources claim Meghan saw this differently. Jessica had become a liability, too connected, too knowledgeable, too risky. The controversy provided the perfect exit strategy. Jessica writes that she defended Meghan in that very exchange with Exeter, mentioning their close friendship to establish her anti-racist credentials. That mention, intended as support, became Jessica's unforgivable sin. Meghan allegedly viewed it as using their friendship for personal benefit. The irony is devastating, because if Jessica's memoir is accurate, using people was always Meghan's specialty.
I don't think so. And Jessica would be in the place to know a lot of the beginnings of their relationship, because I'm sure anytime Harry was in town, Jessica was invited over with her husband. So
Page 6 reported that the scandal gave Meghan the excuse she'd wanted for months to cut Jessica off. But why would she want that excuse? Their relationship appeared unbreakable. They vacationed together across Europe. They posted endless Instagram tributes. Fashion insiders joked that Jessica wasn't just Meghan's stylist, she was her shadow. The memoir reportedly answers that question with chilling clarity. Jessica's star had started rising after the royal wedding. Her profile grew, her influence expanded, and Meghan allegedly resented it.
Jessica out of her life is quite silly, you could say, because of who Meghan herself is and how she has moved through the public media space. As it says here, from girls' holidays in Europe to hanging out at glitzy events and posting gushing...
Sources claim she became jealous that Jessica was monetizing their proximity. The woman who trademarked Sussex Royal and plasters Duchess branding across every venture was apparently bothered by Jessica's career, benefiting from their connection. The contradiction reveals something crucial. Meghan didn't object to monetizing relationships. She objected to anyone else doing it. The friendship worked when Jessica was the supportive stylist opening doors. It soured when Jessica became someone with her own platform and leverage. Control was everything, and Jessica was slipping outside that control.
For some time. Another source was quoted by Us Weekly as saying, and Meghan could not get over that Jessica brought up her relationship with Meghan when she was commented about her closest friend.
As rumors of Jessica's memoir circulated, Meghan's response escalated dramatically. Her social media underwent a mysterious transformation. Photos of vacations with Jessica vanished. Birthday shout-outs disappeared. Public mentions evaporated. Every Instagram post that featured or tagged Jessica was systematically deleted. According to insiders, legal teams advised against such obvious erasure. It would draw attention. It would fuel speculation. Meghan proceeded anyway.
The Duchess and make a career out of the friendship. The white privilege row has really given Meghan the excuse she was waiting for to cut Jess off for good. I don't know what the tipping point.
The digital purge had exactly the effect her lawyers predicted. Royal watchers noticed immediately. Screenshots went viral. Comment sections exploded with theories. Why erase so thoroughly unless something damaging was coming? The deletions became their own story, amplifying interest in Jessica's book far beyond its natural audience. The memoir allegedly captures this panic in real time. It describes Meghan scrambling to contain potential fallout before publication. But here's what makes the purge truly fascinating. It wasn't just photos. It was history. Jessica had been central to some of Meghan's most important moments. The engagement shoot styling, the wedding planning, the early days with Harry. Reports suggest Jessica even helped with Megxit strategy during their January 2020 visit to Canada before the bombshell announcement. Erasing Jessica meant erasing evidence of collaboration. And that suggests the memoir reveals more than just gossip. It reveals authorship. The most explosive claim reportedly involves Harry's memoir, Spare. The book was positioned as Harry's raw truth, his story, his words, his pain. Jessica's memoir allegedly suggests a different narrative. Sources claim it describes late-night strategy sessions where Meghan coached Harry on framing, which family members to spotlight, which moments to emphasize, how to structure revelations for maximum emotional impact, and social media virality. Text messages and call logs reportedly show Meghan's fingerprints across key sections. She allegedly suggested which anecdotes would sting hardest, which parallels to draw between Harry's struggles and her own, how to manipulate emotional beats for a headline potential. If even partially true, this reframes everything. Harry wasn't just the brave prince speaking truth. He was potentially reading from a script his wife helped write. The public perception of Spare was its authenticity. That authenticity generated massive sales and global conversation. But if Jessica has receipts showing collaborative authorship, the entire foundation cracks. This isn't about ghostwriting, it's about invisible orchestration, and it transforms Meghan from supportive spouse to strategic puppet master. The memoir reportedly goes further, claiming Meghan maintained what insiders call a revenge list. Every slight, every insult, every royal who crossed her was allegedly logged and tracked, not as emotional venting, as strategy. Sources describe Meghan documenting grudges meticulously through emails, texts, and recorded voice memos. The goal was knowing exactly when and how to strike back. Certain royals were allegedly spotlighted at calculated moments, others quietly sidelined. Social media strategies, podcast mentions, and interview revelations weren't spontaneous emotional releases. They were chess moves in a larger game. Jessica reportedly witnessed this strategizing firsthand. She allegedly describes how Meghan would rehearse phrasing, timing, and public appearances to ensure maximum damage. The memoir even claims Meghan secretly recorded conversations with palace staff, family members, and close aides. Not casual voice notes, carefully baited discussions designed to catch people saying things that could later be used strategically. Every recording could serve as proof, leverage, or ammunition. Imagine your private thoughts surfacing at precisely the wrong moment. Meghan allegedly knew exactly when to release or hint at these recordings for maximum impact. She wasn't surviving the royal spotlight. She was building a media arsenal. For Jessica, who allegedly lived through this strategizing, The revenge list paints Meghan not as the vulnerable modern duchess, but as someone playing people like pawns. Here's what makes this story bigger than celebrity drama. It's a masterclass in how strategic patience defeats emotional reaction every single time. Meghan allegedly played a long game, building connections, documenting everything, creating leverage, waiting for perfect moments. Jessica, despite being sophisticated and connected, got played because she thought they were friends. She didn't realize she was an asset with an expiration date. The British institution Meghan fought operated on centuries of strategic patience. They understood something crucial. Time reveals everything. They didn't fight back loudly. They simply waited. And now Jessica, who once had Meghan's complete trust, has become the institution's most powerful weapon without them lifting a finger. The brutal lesson? In any high-stakes environment, corporate, political, social, the person documenting everything holds ultimate power. Meghan allegedly recorded conversations and tracked grudges to build leverage, but she forgot one thing. Jessica was documenting too. Every friendship, every strategy session, every unguarded moment. When you treat relationships as transactions, eventually someone audits the books. And when they do, your carefully constructed image becomes someone else's story to tell. The real winners in reputation warfare aren't those who move fastest or strike hardest. They're those who understand that trust, once weaponized, cuts both ways.